Hey everybody, you're watching a DZ Hunter Guide video, but today it's going to be a DZE Hunter Guide video because that iron dwarf in the background is Elfdragon, so it's Diego, Zolo, and Elfdragon once again. So, as we said yesterday, we promised you a PvP video. Now, today, we have that PvP video. Now, some of you might know about this, some of you might not, so that's why we're going to show you two things. That way, they're both sort of useful in PvP. The first thing is, well, let's go by the first thing step by step. Obviously, you all know that we have 5 new slots that we can open up that we can call pet with. So if we use call pet, we can call up to 1 of 5 pets. So, but you know, as you all know, we can't use all 5 at once. However, some of these pets now, they give a really nice raid buff, or party buff, depending on what kind of group you're in, or in this case, a self buff. So while Elfdragon is talking to the human over to the left, which is distracting me so much that I cannot even think of what I'm about to say. Okay, let me think, call pet. Oh yeah. Okay, so we're going to use call pet, and we're going to show you guys a really cool PvP trick. Like, let's say, you know what? Let's say we get challenged by a really, really overpowered class. I don't know what kind of class is like really, really overpowered now, but it seems like no matter what happens, rogues will always be on top. So let's say that we're getting challenged by a rogue. Now, since we didn't challenge the rogue challenged us. We can easily accept the duel at any time before the timer runs out and it says duel cancelled. So, as we as the rogue, challenges us to a duel, we can get ourselves super buffed before we accept the duel. Now, of course, the rogue will probably wait that out and all that, so that'll probably be not the best idea. So instead of saying a rogue, let's just say we get challenged by a paladin, because even though paladins aren't as strong, they're still somewhat strong, especially if they're holy or prot spec. So, let's say a paladin challenges us to a duel and we can accept and all that stuff. Now, the first thing we're going to do is buff ourselves to the point where we are insanely buffed. So, first things first, we're going to use call pet. Our first pet is going to be a wolf. Our second pet is going to be a spirit beast. And our third pet is going to be a core hound. And our final pet is going to be either a bird of prey, because bird of preys can disarm, or a scorpid, because scorpids can also disarm. So, as we all know, the wolf pet has a very nice ability called Ferocious Howl. The wolf lets out a furious howl, and oh my gosh! Diego, look! Look! Oh! 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 I don't believe it! No! No! The horror! Oh, oh, oh. Oh wait, yeah, you're right, Diego, I did use him in arenas. Well, but he didn't die. Okay, that was a bad part on my part. I shouldn't have used him in an arena. Okay, well anyway, Black Tears used to be the black-covered oil wolf. But luckily I still have the quest, so I'll just go back and do him again. But ignoring that kind of, that nervous breakdown I had. Okay, so let's talk about the wolf's special ability. Its raid slash party buff is Ferocious Howl. The wolf lets out a ferocious howl, increasing the critical strike chance of all party and raid members by 5%. That's very useful. And it lasts for 1 whole minute. That's even more useful. Now, we're going to dismiss this pet, and bring out our Spirit Beasts. Now, the Spirit Beast's raid slash party buff is Roar of Courage. The beast lets out a roar of courage, increasing the strength and agility of all party and raid members by 549. That's pretty useful. Within 100 yards. Lasts for 1 minute. That's pretty darn nice. And our final pet is this Core Hound, which you all remember from our very first video, Taming Chromagus, which was absolutely, without a doubt, the worst pile of crap we have ever made. But it was our first video, so our videos have gotten better since then. But regardless, this is the Core Hound. Now, the Core Hound's party slash raid, which you probably already know, is Ancient Hysteria. It increases the melee, range, and spell casting speed by 30% for all party and raid members. Lasts for 40 seconds. Of course, allies receiving this effect will become stated and be unable to benefit from Bloodlust or Time Warp again for 10 minutes. Now I know what you're thinking. Bloodlust and Time Warp, but what if we're on the Alliance side and we have Heroism instead of Bloodlust? Well, Bloodlust and Heroism count as the same thing. Believe me, I tried it. It didn't work out, unfortunately. I thought maybe we can stack Ancient Hysteria with Heroism, but just because it's not listed on there doesn't mean we can't stack it up, so they will not benefit of it. So pretty much Ancient Hysteria lasts for 40 seconds, and those other two buffs last for 1 minute. Now remember, we're still being challenged by that OP Paladin, so what are we going to do? We're going to dismiss this pet. Now, let's say Elfdragon is a Paladin. Oh, he's a big bad Paladin, and he's going to challenge us to a duel. Now, we're going to bring out our Wolf. Buff 1, buff 2, and buff 3. Now look at this. We have Ferocious Howl and Roar of Courage and Ancient Hysteria lasting for like 30 seconds at a time. Now, even if that wasn't enough, the Bird of Prey Snatch ability, it'll even disarm that Paladin for 10 seconds. So while we have all these buffs up on us, that disarm effect will make him useless because we're buffed up and he doesn't even have his, what's it called? His melee weapon making him useless to fight. So we're all super strong, we're all super hasty and agility and critical strike chance, while we can even disarm him, making ourselves super duper buffed while the paladin is forced to be, well, nerfed. It's pretty darn awesome. Now, let's say the paladin bubbles when the paladin is in fact, what's it called? When the paladin is, hold on a second. We don't want Elfdragon to die on us. So yes, anyway, let's say the paladin bubbles up and all that, or let's say if you're fighting the rogue and the rogue vanishes, right? Or he in fact disarms you after you disarmed him. All that power would go to waste for 10 seconds. What do? Well, simple. Since one pet was able to disarm, we have another pet that can disarm as well. However, both disarming effects will actually not stack up on each other. So pretty much if you have one disarming pet and you have another pet that can disarm, they will both disarm and they will both not stack. So let's watch this. Our Bird of Prey was our first pet that can disarm. Now Maddox, our little scorpion here that we just tamed yesterday, he can also disarm as well, which makes him awesome. So look at that. Let's say you're fighting a rogue or a paladin, and they bubble up, and then that little disarm effect is useless. Guess what? You can just bring out another pet, and that melee class will easily be disarmed for an additional 10 seconds. It's a very nice attack and effect, making this pet a very useful pet to have in your party. So if you're having trouble beating those overpowered melee classes, and they're challenging you to duels even though they know you can't beat them, well, guess what? You can buff up yourself, and then you can disarm them for 20 seconds. It's such a useful ability. So that's a neat little way to get buffed up before a duel, or get buffed up before an arena, or beat a overpowered melee class by disarming them for 20 seconds. Now, I bet you're wondering, well, the whole time you're disarming your pet, I mean, let's face it, it takes 2 seconds to disarm your pet, and it takes 1 second to call the other pet. So that's 3 seconds. A lot can happen in those 3 seconds. What do? Well, simple. After your first intimidation is over, you use, after your first, I kind of gave that away. After your first disarming effect is over, you throw in intimidation. Intimidation will stun for 3 seconds, giving you exactly 3 seconds to dismiss your pet and call out your additional disarming pet. So disarm for 10 seconds, take 3 seconds off because of intimidation, And you probably want to drop a disengage too to get at maximum rage. That way he can't run up to you or charge up to you or whatever it is that, or whatever kind of melee class is fighting you. So disarm, intimidate, disengage, dismiss pet, call pet, and then you're ready for another set of disarming your melee class. It is very useful, but this disarming effect will also disarm hunters. So if you're fighting a hunter with better gear than you, well, guess what? If he doesn't know how to buff up, then you are at an advantage. And if you have a disarming pet, you will also be at an advantage because he won't be able to disarm you. He'll have 10 seconds of useless, well, just that, useless DPS. He won't be able to attack you. And his pet, well, you can probably just freeze trap his pet. So, that is some nice little PvP guides that if you didn't know, this can help benefit you for PvP and possibly PvE heroics because, well, let's face it, if you don't have the right buffs in your heroics, that would probably be a really good thing. Oh, Elfdragon says there is an easier way. Get 3 hunters with those pets. Well, yes, that'd be a nice, easy way, but that would be like for, let's say a 3 versus 3, and you're all attacking one melee class. Let's say, yeah. So, but I'm talking about like one-on-one. So if you're going one-on-one against somebody, like a friendly duel, or if you're one-on-oneing, a high-level horde guy, and you're all alone, he's all alone, and you guys are attacking each other. Blah 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 blah. I can't talk today. So, so yeah, that's pretty much it about the disarming and pet stacking buffs. Very useful for PvP, and it can kind of be useful for PvE too. I think that's it. I think that's it. We covered the double disarm effect, and we covered the pet stacking buff. So, thank you very much for watching this DZE Hunter Guide video, and I think that's it. So yeah, thanks for watching.